One thing that I have noticed with every great communicator is their ability to engage with their audience. And my golden rule for engaging with audience is simply make sure that you speak to your audience and not at them. It was the former US President Benjamin Franklin who once said, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. But involve me and I learn." This is actually an adaptation of a quote by an ancient Chinese philosopher named Confucius, who once said, "Tell me and I will forget. Show me and I may remember, but involve me and I will understand." Engagement is about involving your audience in the experience of your delivery so that they learn and understand better. Do you ever wonder why you would sometimes hear some preachers say, "Touch 5 people and say this or that"? This is actually just a classic example of an engagement strategy at work. Touching and speaking with 5 people means that you have to move out of your seat and engage 5 different people. And it usually gets the congregation to stand, to interact with others, and to connect deeply with the message. Now, you may feel free to use this technique if you wish to, and depending on the nature of the event and the audience that you're speaking to, you can ask your audience to carry out some activities just to be sure that they're still connected with you. But please, 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 do not spend the entire message telling people to touch one another, because that could be an excessive distraction that may leave your audience exasperated and irritated. So, to be an effective communicator, you must engage your audience, and more importantly, you must stay engaged with your audience throughout your delivery of the message. Now, remember that you didn't just come to deliver your message to your audience. You actually came to deliver their message to them. You know, I have often heard some people say, "I have said my own," usually as they concede in defeat to a lost argument. Now, some speakers sometimes project this defeatist and nonchalant attitude as they deliver their message, even without expressly saying the words, "I have said my own." And this usually leaves the audience confused and bewildered. I mean, you can imagine if I came to deliver a message and I ended up by saying, "Do what you want to with it, I have said my own." You would be right to wonder why you bothered to come to listen to me in the first instance, since I, as a speaker, am clearly not committed to helping you gain some new knowledge or discover a new way of doing things to help you get the results that you desire. A common rule of engagement among stage and screen actors is never turn your back on your audience. And this rule has often been adopted by speakers because it is very difficult to engage your audience when they can't see your face. However, in reality, there are certain situations where it is practically impossible to face your entire audience at the same time. A few years ago, I had to speak at a stadium filled to capacity, and as you can imagine, this meant that I was speaking to a circle of people. And no matter which part of the stadium I faced to engage the crowd, my back was turned always to some part of the audience behind me. I soon came to realize that this cardinal rule of engagement was bound to be broken that day. And if you ever find yourself in such a situation, please remember that you still have to connect with as many people as possible. And therefore, you must do all that you can to make sure that everyone in your audience feels that you are there for them. To do this, I would advise that you have to keep turning around to engage the entire circle of your audience. And I must warn you ahead of time, this may make you feel like you are in a swirling barber's chair. The most important thing is remembering that keeping your audience fully engaged is one of the most important things that you must do. And this is one of the reasons why I am always in motion while I'm speaking. It's actually because I'm trying to connect with everyone around me, regardless of where they're seated in my audience. When a speaker loses eye contact with a portion of the audience over a sustained period of time, that portion of the audience begins to believe that you have disengaged from them, and they in turn will begin to disengage from you and your message. And whilst it may be easier to reestablish eye contact with a neglected portion of your audience, it is usually much more difficult for them to re-engage with you and your message. So, do all you can to keep everyone in your audience fully engaged. Now, over the years, I have come to realize that my audience is usually made up of a diverse set of individuals. In fact, in every audience, you may have some raving fans in the mix with people who have never heard anything about you, as well as some people who may just not like you and who literally shoot daggers at you with their stares. And even as you seek to engage your entire audience, you must be especially careful how you engage with people in your audience who project negative energy, because such negative vibes can drain you of your energy and become a distraction that causes you to lose focus on your core message and your ability to engage the rest of your audience. In such instances, I simply try to identify some people seated in the audience to my left, to my center, and to my right who are giving me the positive vibes, affirmative nods, and smiles. These people become my base stations from which I replenish the positive energy that I release to the rest of the audience throughout the course of my delivery of the message. My big advice to you, therefore, is take note of the people in the audience who engage most positively with you and connect deeply with them. But that said, please do all you can to engage with everyone in your audience.